Okay, so this big project. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Mhm.
You basically led this thing. It was a big think tank of a lot of different scientists, right?
Well, there were biologists, and they were into the ecology out there in the world looking for pollution, right?
Yeah.
They were looking for sources of pollution, and they chose me to be a pathologist because I had written the first paper on the first mass off in America to be recognized and tracked down and identify all the scenarios and why it happened. Got it published, but I was the only pathologist.
So you're kind of like the center guy, right?
Exactly, because if they'd pick up a roadkill on the highway and bring it in, it was a coyote or a deer, I had to know, was the deer or the coyote hit by the car because he had rabies and was just out there being stupid on the highway because he had rabies affecting his brain, or was the deer being chased by a pack of coyotes or wolves and he was fleeing and didn't pay attention to what was around and got hit by the car, or was the deer, did he have some kind of other debilitating thing that led him to go out there in the highway, or was it just mating season and he was taking on anything that invaded his territory, did it head on with the car? I mean, he had to know all these things. And so, again, I accumulated the data for 17,000 some change of death of over 454 species of animals and 3,000 humans. That book was published in 1983, and it was published by the largest medical publishing house in the world, W.B. Saunders. And the original price of those books was $140. And everybody said, you'll never sell them because most textbooks were being sold for $25, $50. And they thought that was high. But they sold these for $140, and they sold 10,000 copies 2 weeks. And then, yeah, 10,000 books in 2 weeks. Now today, those same books, if you can find one on a used book sale online, if you get them where they're covered in coffee stains and been highlighted and dog-eared and underlined and so forth, obviously been used heavily. If you can find one for less than $2,500, you better get it. The ones that are in perfect condition, still in the box, have never been cracked. The binding has never been cracked and opened. They're selling for $17,000 for each book.
Now, this book is called The Diseases of Exotic Animals.
That's correct.
It's the medical and surgical management. And it's a 1,200-page book. Apparently, you were supposed to do a couple chapters and then ended up writing the whole book or something?
Well, yes. I was supposed to write just a couple of chapters of the 20, I think it was, 28 chapters. And what happened was the other designated authors, each one was supposed to be a specialist in the chapter on reptiles. Another one was supposed to be an author on small cage birds like finches and canaries. Another one was supposed to be an author on wild dogs like wolves and coyotes and so forth, and dingoes in Australia. But it turns out they wrote one paper from somebody who had a pet wolf and who died of something, and they wrote it up. But that was it. They had no other experience. Well, I had already autopsied wild dogs. I had already autopsied several hundred, and foxes, and dealt with the birth defects from nutritional deficiencies in the females while they were pregnant, and developed into birth defects in the babies. And so I had all that, and did chemistries and autopsies and slides of special stains. Plus, I'm a veterinarian, and it was very easy for me to look up, because we didn't have computers in those days. I had to go to the library and by hand look through thousands of books and journals, scientific journals, looking for any paper that's written on them. And then each chapter had to have the normal blood values, the normal chemistry of the cerebral spinal fluid, the fluid, the vitreous in the eye, normal organ weights and colors, and then diseases they might get have been reported, and things to anesthetize them safely so they could do surgeries, and how to prevent birth defects in these animals, and so on. And so it's quite a big project. Well, the editing people and the publishing company would call me and say, okay, Wallach, Dr. So-and-so is backed out because he doesn't want to do all the effort necessary to make this a respectable chapter. Would you take this one? Yes. 3 months later, said, hey, this guy backed out, and in reptiles, you've already done maybe 1,500 autopsies on different reptiles, crocodiles, and
should have wrote the whole book from the beginning, right?
Exactly. But they wanted it to be a multi-author textbook because it was such a big project, and they never thought in their wildest dreams that one person would have all that experience. And so I wound up with the entire book.